Not God's Jewish people over here and God's not Jewish people over there. We became God's people. And in the ketubah, in the marriage contract, says, yeah, well, I'm marrying you, but you're not gonna live well. You're not gonna keep up your end of the bargain. So when I'm going to drive you out into the world, and you're going to lose the land of promise, which you haven't even got yet, but you're going to get a land of promise, and you will lose the land of God that I'm going to give to you. He said, but from there, when I throw you out because you broke the covenant, you will seek Adonai your God, and you will find him, and you will seek with him with all your heart and with all your soul. In other words, even though I'm marrying you, you're not going to keep up your end of the bargain. I'm going to throw you out. But from there, where I've thrown you out, if you seek him, you will find him. You seek with him with all your heart and your soul. Not your mind, your heart, your emotions, which is a part of your flesh, and your soul, which is the only thing in you that connect with God's Spirit. Nefesh to ruach, spirit to spirit. And how? You choose God. Choose God. Even when I'm under judgment, oh, wait, I messed up. I choose God. You choose God. Towards the end of Isaiah, in his appeal, you're not divorced. Why do you act like you're divorced and go out after other gods? Isaiah 26, I can't see it. There's a glare. Let me go to my notes. 26:3. You keep in perfect peace one whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. Now, this talks about your mind, but you have to understand, in my mind, I have to choose to focus on God. I have to make a conscious choice. My mind has to say, I will choose God. And my heart will follow that. My soul will do that. Why? Because I trust God. I trust God. It's choosing God. I choose God. I choose God. And your mind has to be in perfect peace to choose God. That's why, as I said, a lot of times at night, praise God, I sleep. I sleep. I sleep. For me, I sleep well. That's a miracle of God. I had to go through deliverance to sleep well, but I sleep well, and I went through deliverance, and I sleep well. And the bottom line is, I can be meditating. My nefesh is still meditating with the Spirit of God. I'll be laying there, my wife will sit laying next to me, sound asleep, worshiping God. She'll be singing, praising God, loving God. She's sound asleep, but her nefesh is like, yes, worship, 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 worship. It's just a way of life in our house. And, it's like, because we have chosen to serve God, live carefully, choose God, choose God. 100 years after Isaiah, you have Jeremiah. Hine Aget. Here's the bill of divorcement. Devarim, speak words. Devarim, words. It's the words of a ketubah. It's a marriage contract. I'm going to marry you. If you do this, you're going to make me happy. If you do this, you'll make me unhappy. I'm not going to teach that, but just it's a ketubah. We taught that in the School of Breath or the Holy Spirit workshop. One of those things, we had my ketubah sitting up on the stage, and I said, here's the marriage covenant. It's a covenant. It was a covenant between myself and my bride. And down at the bottom, there's a little line that says, by the way, then they got married. The covenant is the decision what our marriage would be. But we weren't married until we were married. The covenant predates the marriage. And so Isaiah said, where's your bill of divorcement? You're married. Why are you running around after other gods? Because for Israel to go to another god is adultery. For a Gentile to go after another god, it's idolatry. For Israel to go to another god, it's adultery because we were married to God. However, 100 years after Isaiah said, Epho Aged, where's the divorcement? Jeremiah comes up and he said, Hine Haget, here's the get. I'm divorcing you. I get the house, you get out. And it's like you've broken the marriage contract. Jeremiah 31, which covenant I broke, although I was a husband unto you. You broke the covenant, you lose the house. And we end up in Babylon. But in Jeremiah, even though I'm going to throw you out, when you get there, you will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. Even in Babylon, which is where our father Avram was called out of. He was Ur of the Chaldeans in what is Iraq because he crossed over the river, the Tigris River in Iraq. Cross over is Ivrit. He is Ivrit. He is a Hebrew. He crossed over the river. That's where the word Hebrew comes from. We, Ivrit, we crossed over the river. And we made a covenant. But we broke the covenant. God divorces. But when you end up in captivity of Babylon, you'll seek me and find me. We search me with all your heart. In other words, your mind will say, God's obviously not happy with us. We're back where Abraham was called from. We're back in captivity. We're back as slaves. We're back with no freedom. We're outside of our land of promise. Our temple is destroyed. It doesn't make any sense, but we have to turn to God with all our heart. All our heart. We have to choose God. I choose God even when I see the judgment. And my mind can't understand why. But it is what it is. I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm debating. And then in the new congregation, I already have my clock out so I can time myself. Over here, I can talk until House of Prayer takes back over their own building. So this is additional thought. Joshua 24:15. Joshua is not he's a foreshadow. Well, let me explain to you. Let me give it to you one word. I have to be careful. That's my mind. I can teach you whole truths on the simplest things. Moses took us up to the edge of the land of promise. Took him up on a mountain and said, there's the land of promise. You're not going to see it. And Joshua takes over. Now, you can analyze that or you catch the picture. Moses could take us right up to the edge of the promise. Only Yeshua can take us in. So if you follow Moses, he could take you right up to the very edge of the promise, but cannot take you in. There's the picture. Don't be distracted. There's phones going off all the time in here. Do you understand that? Moses can take it right up to the edge of God's promise for us, the fulfillment of everything God promised us, but he cannot take us in. The one that takes him over is Yeshua. Over the centuries, Yeshua became Yeshua. It's the same name, Yeshua. In the Septuagint, that's one of the issues. Joshua had the same name as Jesus in the Greek. But there's a hay that was dropped over the course of century. And Yeshua is Yeshua. There's a hay that was taken out. It's just changed. It's like the months. When we came out of Egypt, it was Abib. And today, it's Nisan. It's the same month. My bride and I were married on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. It's a great day. It's a lucky day to get married on. There's no truth to that, but it meant something to us. Well, if I go back centuries to Egypt, it wasn't the first of Nisan, it was the first of Abib. Why? Because over the course of a century, things changed. Yeshua's name was changed to Yeshua, which in the Septuagint is why they hooked the J and where the name Jesus came from. It's a typo. Same name. So Moses could take it right up to the promise, but not take you in. Only Yeshua steps in and takes you where Moses could not take you. And then he says, as we're getting ready to go into the land, and as he's going to lead us into the land of promise, if it seems bad to you to worship Adonai, then choose today whom you're going to serve. You choose it. You get to choose. God doesn't take away your free will. Choose for yourself. Who are you going to serve? Whether the gods of your fathers worshipped that were beyond the river, Ivrit writes, you are Hebrews, those who crossed the river. Are you going to worship the gods of those who crossed on the other side of the river, where you came from? Beyond the river, the gods of the Ammonites, in whose land you are. Let me turn around so I can see it. Whether the gods your fathers worship from beyond the river, the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. In other words, you go into the land of promise, a lot of gods there. You left the gods in Egypt. They were all judged. You go into the land of promise, you got to choose. You're going to go choose the gods your fathers worshipped on the other side of the river, up in Ur of the Chaldeans. You know, the story is Abraham's family made idols. They were idol makers. That's a story. It's Agadot, it's a story. Now, whether we know it as a fact, we don't know, but we know that's what we've heard. A lot of gods. You want to go back across the river and worship the gods up there, or do you want to worship the gods here? Because there are gods here. That's who the Amorites worship. But as for me and my house, we are going to worship Adonai. We are going to choose God. I'm making a decision. I'm going to choose God. I'm not going to worry about these other gods. That might be my message, next message. I'm flirting with something. As for me and my house, we'll worship God. Now, trusting God, choosing God. Understand this. Choosing God, placing your confidence in His plan, even though we don't fully understand it. We don't fully understand God's plan. God is a mystery. It requires letting go of worldly security. Don't rely on your own understanding. Get rid of all worldly security, embracing faith in His unchanging character. I trust God because He made me. He's my creator. I have to trust Him. He gave me the owner's manual, which is called by us the Bible. That's the owner's manual. I get in there and I found out everything I need to know about God as truth is revealed from me by Haruach, if I get my flesh out of the way and let my soul connect with what God is talking to me about, and I pay attention to what God is saying and not just study what God has said. Do you understand that? It's the white fire, black fire. I have to choose what God is saying to me today and not just gain knowledge by what He did centuries ago. Because you could study the Bible and figure out what God did centuries ago, or you could see what is God saying today. When I look at the priesthood practicing the sacrificial system, I don't have to wrap my understanding around why would they do that? And I know why they do that, because God said to. Yeah, well, I was told that Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice. We don't need a sacrifice. I'm not talking about what we need. I'm talking about what God said. Do you understand that? The dietary instructions God gave me, when I talk about swine, when I talk about shellfish, that's not an unclean food. That's a detestable thing. Now, a chicken is kosher to God, whether a rabbi says it is or not. Do you understand that? You go buy a kosher chicken, which means a rabbi said that one's kosher. I didn't bless that one. You can't eat that one. You know what? A chicken's a chicken. And something's detestable is not an unclean food. It is something detestable. And no swine is something that will ever become clean, because you can't make something detestable clean. But you can make a chicken. You can accept. God said the chicken's okay. The chicken's okay whether the rabbi says it's okay or not. Stay away from high vitamin cereal. Stay away from marshmallows. Because if you weren't raised in this, you have to be careful. But the bottom line is we have to choose. Choose God. Choose God. Not just believe in him. I believe in God. And Yeshua says, yeah, the devils believe. They tremble. Big deal. You believe in God. I don't just believe in God. I choose God. I live carefully. You need to choose God. Be blessed, everybody. We've got about a half hour. Shabbat shalom, everyone.